You're in a meeting. Your colleague just finished explaining their idea, and everyone's nodding. But inside your head, you're thinking, wait, that doesn't sound right. So you open your mouth and say, no, I don't think so. And suddenly the whole room goes quiet. Awkward silence. Everyone's looking at you. Oops. If that sounds familiar, you are definitely not alone. The problem wasn't what you thought, it was how you said it. And that's exactly what we're fixing today. Welcome to Lady Show English, where we make your English sound more natural, more confident, and more you. So let's jump right in, because trust me, once you learn these chunks, disagreeing will never feel uncomfortable again. Okay, so here's the deal. In English, how you disagree matters just as much as what you say. If you go straight to no, you're wrong, that sounds harsh, right? Even rude. But there are smarter, more polished ways to push back, and they're not complicated at all. Here are your 4 core chunks for today. Number 1, I see it differently because. This one's great because you're not attacking the other person, you're just sharing your own view. I see it differently because the data doesn't support that conclusion. Clean, direct, respectful. Number 2, another way to look at this is. Use this when you want to open up the conversation. You're not saying they're wrong, you're adding a new angle. Another way to look at this is that maybe our timeline is too tight. Number 3, I understand your point, but. This is a classic. You acknowledge what they said first, and then you pivot. I understand your point, but I think we're missing something important here. And number 4, from my perspective. Now let's go a little deeper, because every one of these chunks has a close cousin, a similar phrase you can swap in to keep things fresh and natural. Let's start with I see it differently because. A great alternative is I have a different take on this. Same idea, slightly more casual. Imagine your friend says, I think we should launch the product in winter. You could say, I have a different take on this, I think spring would give us better sales momentum. Easy, right? Both phrases let you disagree without sounding confrontational. Now, another way to look at this is. Has a twin, have you considered? This one's beautiful because it turns your disagreement into a question, and questions feel collaborative, not aggressive. Have you considered that our target audience might prefer a different format? Much softer landing. For I understand your point, but, you can also say, that's a fair point, however. The word however is your pivot word. It says, I heard you, I respect you, and now I'm going to go in a different direction. That's a fair point, however, the risk might be higher than we think. And finally, from my perspective, try it the way I see it. It's slightly more conversational and works really well in casual settings. The way I see it, we need more time before we make this decision. So now you've got 8 chunks total, 4 core, 4 alternatives. And the next section? We're going to put them all into mini dialogues so you can actually hear how they flow. Alright, let's bring these chunks to life. I'm going to play both sides of the conversation, so just listen and notice how naturally these phrases fit in. In a team meeting, here's an example. Wrong version first. We should go with Plan A. No, I disagree. Plan B is better. You're wrong. Yeah, that's a bit aggressive. Let's fix it. Better version. I think we should go with Plan A. It's safer. I understand your point, but from my perspective, Plan B offers more flexibility in the long run. Have you considered how the market might change next quarter? So much better. You acknowledged their view, added your own, and even asked a follow-up question. That's professional disagreement right there. Now, chatting with a friend. Wrong version. I think coffee is healthier than tea. That's not true at all. Ouch. Even tea tends to have fewer side effects for most people. But hey, that's just how I see it. Light, friendly, and still expressing a different opinion. That's the tone you're going for. Now at work, talking to your boss. Here's the better version. I'd like to move forward with the current strategy. That's a fair point. However, another way to look at it is that our competitors have just shifted direction. It might be worth a quick review before we fully commit. Notice, no, you're wrong, no conflict. Just thoughtful, confident disagreement. And that's exactly the kind of English that makes people go, wow, they really know how to communicate. Okay, we're almost at the finish line, but before we wrap up, let me give you 2 bonus phrases that work really well when you want to soften a disagreement even further. First one, I might be wrong, but. This is a humble opener. It tells the other person, I'm not completely sure, but I still want to share my view. I might be wrong, but I don't think the numbers add up here. It makes you sound thoughtful, not stubborn. Second one, with all due respect. Now, be careful with this one. Use it when you're disagreeing with someone who has more authority than you, like a manager, a professor, or a client. With all due respect, I think the timeline needs to be reconsidered. It's formal, it's polite, and it keeps things professional. Use these when the situation calls for extra diplomacy. And speaking of staying sharp, let's test yourself with a quick quiz right now. Time for a little challenge. For quick questions, think fast and see how many you get right. Question 1. You want to politely disagree and share your own opinion. Which phrase is best? A. You're totally wrong. B. From my perspective, the plan needs more research. C. I don't know. Answer, B. From my perspective signals your opinion without attacking the other person. Question 2. Your colleague makes a good point, but you still see it differently. What do you say? A. That's a fair point, however, I think we should look at the data again. B. No, that's not right. C. Sure, whatever you say. Answer, A. You acknowledge their point first, then pivot, that's the key. Question 3. You want to offer a new angle without dismissing someone's idea. Which phrase works best? A. Another way to look at this is. B. Have you considered? C. Both A and B. Answer, C. Both work perfectly to open up the conversation. Question 4. Which phrase is best to use with someone in authority? A. The way I see it, you're wrong. B. With all due respect, I think the deadline should be extended. C. I see it differently because you're not thinking clearly. Answer, B. With all due respect, keeps it professional and respectful. Great job if you got those right. And if you missed one, that's totally okay. That's what practice is for. Alright, quick recap. Today you learned 4 key ways to disagree politely in English. I see it differently because. Another way to look at this is. I understand your point, but. From my perspective. And 2 bonus phrases, I might be wrong, but, and with all due respect. Your challenge is simple, pick just one and use it today. In a conversation, a message, or even out loud to yourself. The goal is to actually use it, not just understand it. Thanks for watching Lady Show English. If this helped, give it a like and subscribe so you don't miss the next lesson. See you next time. Keep practicing, keep growing, and remember your voice matters.